Welcome to All Things Retreat podcast. I'm Holly Porter, your host and CEO of Retreat R&R. With over 25 years of experience in designing transformative retreats, I'm here to share insights and inspiration to help you create extraordinary experiences. Whether you're a pro or just starting out, you'll find valuable ideas here. Enjoy the ride. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to the show, everyone. Happy to have you here today. So buckle up because this is going to be a very, very different show. You know, I keep these short and sweet, so there's a lot more details than what we're going to be covering today. Nathan has a near-death story, as if you followed me at all, you know that I had one as well, near-death experience. And so he's going to talk about that today. And the theme of everything is going to be about resilience and just, you know, we do retreats and we go for this transformation. And sometimes people get their own little private retreat in the hospital and have these other experiences. So it's just a little bit different of a twist. So I would say I had my own little personal retreat. Nathan had his own little personal retreat, and he's here to share all the juicy details. Nathan Barkocy is an international #1 bestselling author, entrepreneur, and founder of the True Wealth Philosophy and Community. He also co-authored that, also co-author of Old Wealth, New Wealth, True Wealth, alongside with Sharon Lechter. If you know her, she's part of the Think and Grow Rich whole stuff. Nathan's redefining how the next generation approaches wealth, leadership, and legacy. So welcome to the show, Nathan.
Holly, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's so fun to be with you.
Yeah, well, I know you've been in high demand. The book's going well. You're on all these tours, doing all these speaking things. So I appreciate you taking time to come and join your words of wisdom, share your words of wisdom with my audience and retreat leaders, and helping them understand that there's all kinds of transformation in the world, but you have a lot to share and teach. And I'm just going to turn it over to you. What I would like to do is have you, I know your experience was 10 years ago, just kind of tell us like what happened in the last 10 years that brought you to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. So it all started back in January of 2016, on January 23rd of 2016, as a nationally ranked competitive cyclist. I was top 10 in the nation. I was state champion of New Mexico. I was the road race leader of New Mexico, youngest to ever win the Tour of the Gila in Silver City, New Mexico. I was going places as a competitive professional cyclist. And I was competing against men in their 30s. You know, I was competing to get me on stages with semi-professionals and professionals up at the highest competition levels. That was my passion. That was my goal, right? Is I was so passionate about being a competitive cyclist. And my goal was to get to the Olympics. My goal was to go to the Tour de France. And I was meeting every necessary step of the way. I was achieving every certain criteria that was necessary to get me there, to get me to the Tour, to get me to the Olympics. And that was all going forward. That's what was happening. January 23rd of 2016, like I said, I was on another training ride with my coach and my teammate when a car hit me at 60 miles an hour. So that car, my body hit the windshield of the car, just shattering the glass. You can see where my shoulder and my just shattered the windshield of the car, shooting me forward 100 feet. And I sprawled out on the ground, dead. My coach rushed over to my side, just shaking me to see if I was alive, seeing if there would be any response, but it was responseless. I was reported dead. The officer who came to the scene reported it as a fatality, and I was rushed to the hospital where I was in a coma for 2 weeks. I miraculously, by God's grace, I miraculously opened my eyes again 2 weeks later. When I did open my eyes, I was paralyzed. So I was in the ICU for a month. And then they put me on a medical flight up to Craig Hospital in Colorado, which is where they do brain injury, traumatic brain injury, and spinal cord injury rehab. And that's where I learned how to live again as a 16-year-old, you know? So I was a nationally ranked cyclist, top 10, you know, I was going on my way as a state champion to the high category competition, and I had to relearn how to walk. So a really big mindset shift for me, right? The moments when I was laying in the hospital bed, I was really realizing that, you know, we can have all the gold medals, we can have the podiums, we can have all of those achievements, but what does it really mean, you know, if we don't have our time, if we don't have our health, if we don't have our relationships, right? And so that's when I really came up with the concept about true wealth, which is really ownership of your time, really, increasing the value of those around you, right? So that you have a lifestyle that you're not ashamed of, right? That you're able to create, you're able to provide value, you're able to move forward, you're able to help others. And so that whole time, right, when I was laying in bed and then my long recovery, figuring out how to walk again and how to live again as a 16-year-old, that whole recovery, and then my recovery through to finish high school, finish college, start my first businesses, the whole time I wanted to write a book. And I wanted to help a younger generation, especially, understand the value of our time, because it's so easy to waste our time nowadays with just doom scrolling on your phone, right? Or wasting your time on things that may seem like you're being productive, but in reality, they don't move you forward at all. They don't move the needle, So I really was passionate about redefining wealth as a full understanding and competency of the use of your time. And so that's when I reached out to Sharon Lechter, who is the co-author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because that book was the book that really opened my eyes to financial literacy and to the necessity to build, a real portfolio of real assets that are cash flowing if you're going to actually create genuine generational wealth. And so I reached out to her and I told her my story, and I told her the businesses I had built, the real estate portfolio I had built. And she said, great, well, what can we do together? And so we wrote a book.
She loves assets.
Yeah, she
That's her
loves
thing.
assets. Assets are sexy,
Yep.
according to Sharon Lechter.
Yep.
And it's true. So I reached out to her, and since the first day of us working together, which was a little over a year ago, it has just been, unbelievable to be able to work with such a highly impactful, the pioneer of financial literacy. We co-authored this book, Old Wealth, New Wealth, True Wealth. It's really redefining wealth for a new generation. We turned it into a whole parable. So it's about three brothers who are given a riddle to solve. And that riddle, the answer to the riddle, is the true definition of true wealth. And it's been amazing. Since then, I've launched my True Wealth community, which is a community of like-minded entrepreneurs that are proactive and aspiring entrepreneurs, really looking to either start their first business or start their first investment, to scale their business or to scale their investment portfolio. And then my highest clients are working with me to exit their business on a 12 to 30 month time frame. I'm working with a large different portfolio of entrepreneurs, assisting them, kind of working with them, particularly with accountability, and to ensure that they are utilizing their time to their greatest opportunity. It's amazing to see the warmth and the desire to really create true wealth, because there's so many coaching programs out there that teach you how to start a company, how to scale a company, how to exit a company. Sure, there's a lot of stuff out there, but none of them really teach you how to do that while simultaneously remaining grounded in your faith, in your true core values, and in true wealth.
Yeah. So true. I love that. And I feel like that what you're teaching the younger crowd, I know that was a big factor in why Sharon picked you, was because of your age. And she loves that younger generation because you're all replacing us someday, And so I think that really mattered to her. And just watching, I love watching most of my kids. We raised 8 children. They're all adults. And I love that most of them are entrepreneurs. It's in my blood. It was in my parents' blood. It's just how we are. My husband's an entrepreneur. And I'm a real estate broker. I don't know if you remember that, Nathan, but we talked about that. And I love that you started so young building a real estate portfolio. I mean, my dad was a very successful Mason, and he still made most of his money off of real estate, like land deals. And he'd just sit on them until they did well. It wasn't really like passive income producing for him because he did well with land, but everybody has that niche. And so I love that you jumped in at a very young age and you were able to do that. And I mean, Sharon's a smart woman. So, I'm thinking she definitely picked right. And I love that you've wrote this book and built this community that you're starting now. amazing. So most of our listeners, just so you are aware, I know already, but they are retreat leaders, most of them in this. And we're getting ready to launch the International Retreat Association, which is the first of its kind. There's not one in the world for 2 to 3 million estimated retreat leaders. So that's happening for us as we're recording this. It's in a couple of weeks. So maybe by the time this comes out, we are launched. But what could you share with someone who is building a retreat business? And like for me, I want them to not necessarily go out and start a new business if you're not a retreat leader, but you've thought about it, because a lot of people think about it and they add it. Like for you, you could add that to your community and have a retreat as part of that. But what would you say would be a good first step for someone who is wanting to add that as an additional income, but to their existing business for wealth? What would you give them advice for that?
Yeah, well, and Holly, congratulations. It's so exciting that you guys are launching this and that it's taking, I mean, it's really taking form right now, you know. It is fully launched. So congratulations to you, and I love what you're putting together. I think so this book, you know, Old Wealth, New Wealth, True Wealth, as I told you, it's a whole parable story. I wanted to write a book, as I told you, about my personal autobiography, my life story, because it is very inspirational. You know, it's very motivational. But it was all about me. And so what I did is I went out to Sharon Lecter's lodge or her ranch, you know, Cherry Creek Lodge, and talk about a retreat, you know, talk about, man, this is an amazing place to be, where you're actually retreating away from, you know, the busyness of the city or the busyness of the society that we're surrounded by every single day. And you're going into, you know, she has, you know, 300 plus acres that she owns out there, and over 1,000 acres of grazing rights for her cattle.
Yeah.
So we're eating fresh food, you know. We're enjoying the peacefulness of her ranch and the serenity of that time. And the reason I'm answering your question in this regard is because that's how I wrote my book. I turned it into the parable, and it's taking place at Cherry Creek Lodge because that is precisely where I learned so much, and that's where my personal brand came to life. That's how the true wealth concept even first took root. And so the importance of a retreat is to do precisely that, is to retreat, you know? And so even if your retreat is hosted in, you know, the busyness of a city or something, you want to be able to provide an opportunity for your client base to retreat from the distractions of daily life, right? From the distractions of that, and actually fully align themselves with the, the content that you're delivering, from the positivity that you're bringing to their life, the actionable steps you can give to them in order to create, you know, an abundance mindset and true wealth. And I know that there's a lot of different retreats for a lot of different reasons, but being able to get your retreats filled with highly inspiring and informative and transformational people
Yeah.
allows you to pivot away from the busyness of the daily life into your full retreat, which is why it's called a retreat, you know.
Right, right. Well, that's why their marketing is so important and their messaging is so important in the beginning, finding those people, because you want to be clear on who you want to bring. It's otherwise it's just a girl's fun trip or a guy's fun trip, right? And you can do those too. Those are retreats that people love as well. But I think most people are really looking for some sort of transformation of some kind, or why would they go to a retreat? Why would they
Mhm.
spend their money and drive across the country or fly across the world, wherever they go, to have this experience? It is an experience. You're giving them transformation. And so I think, yeah, that I love what you said, because I just kept hearing, get the right message out there, because if you're attracting the wrong people, I mean, you know, one person at that retreat could change the whole energy around it and the whole vibe, which is challenging because you don't always know who you're bringing in the beginning. So I think it's getting your skills and your own toolbox as a retreat leader sharpened so that you can handle these things. I had a conversation the other day, like to know what you think about this, about they teach transformation for like the leaders, how to handle that. So picture yourself at a retreat, you're doing this big thing that someone has this huge breakthrough, but you don't know what to do with that. Like as the leader, you've got to be able to watch that and figure out what's next? Like, how am I going to handle this? Especially if it's a breakthrough where there's some challenges going on, it's affecting everybody at the time. Everybody's uncomfortable. And I think a lot of retreat leaders, they don't really think a lot of that out. So it's always sharpening your skills, listening to podcasts, especially about retreats, not just ours. There's others out there, but I think that really helps. So I don't know. Do you have any feedback about?
Well, absolutely. The avatar, right, that you're advertising for, you have to know who you're going for. I mean, there's talk about abundance. We have an abundance of people in our society, and a lot of people want to do a retreat. Everybody, I think, wants to retreat away from the busyness and the chaos of the daily life, And so being able to narrow your focus and ensure that you're speaking to the direct avatar that you're really intending to bring on, not only is important for you as the host of a retreat, but it's important for the other people that are coming alongside you. And that's exactly what I'm doing with the True Wealth community right now as well. We could call it a virtual retreat. It's a whole community. And so they're able
I do
to,
those too.
yeah, you're able to get yourself around like-minded entrepreneurs. And the key there is like-minded, right? So you don't want the wrong person to be distracting yourself and those around you from the true intent of growing the community. And that is transformational. So when I was at my retreat at Cherry Creek Lodge, not only was it Sharon Lecter leading the retreat, but it was also the other participants that were there, the other business owners that I was around, the other entrepreneurs that I was around. You learn from them, you grow with them, and you're able to scale alongside them. And so I think it is absolutely important. My dad has a saying. He says, "Show me your friends and I'll show you your future," And I think that's a great saying. Not only for friendship, of course, that's very true for real friendships in your life, but also for the people that you surround yourself with every single day. For the people that you bring on your retreats, for the people that you host at the retreats, for the people that co-host with you on retreats. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future, meaning the effectiveness of your retreat, the effectiveness of your brand, that is going to be entirely brought forth and exponentiated with the right team.
My goal, as I've been an entrepreneur for many, many years and a lot of different things, I just always wanted to be the dumbest one in the room, honestly. If you're always the leader and you're always the mentor, it's like, where are you growing? And so to me, I love creating groups. Like, for instance, I had done several coaches in a row. I outgrew every one of them, which is a good challenge to have. And I was just done with the coaching. So I was just felt heavy at the time. And so I went and created my own little mastermind with 4 in one and 5 other women besides me in another. What's the ideal 5? And we did a 12-week commitment with them. I thought, because that way, if it's not the right energy, you're only in it for a few weeks, right? And then we're in charge for a couple weeks. That was the best thing I could do for myself at that time. It was like a retreat with them every time we get on, even though it was only on a Zoom. It was just like-minded people. So when I searched, so I always say, if you can't find what you're looking for out there, go create it. That's who I am. So that's what I did. And I wanted women that were at my level, if not higher. Not just financially, but just in business, just with the knowledge. And so that's who I looked for. And I created that exact thing twice in a row. I think one person carried over into the next group with me. And believe it or not, that was probably, I want to say that was like 8 years ago, those 2 masterminds. And the one now is my board of directors for my nonprofit. They watched me go through my near-death experience and everything. We created this nonprofit out of it. They became my board because they were my mastermind. Who better to do this? I mean, we became friends. We had been through, divorces and cancer and deaths. I think somebody had a bankruptcy in there somewhere. It was just that bonding. And so it's like, there's different ways that you can do a retreat. There's different ways to connect. There's different ways to learn for everybody. But find your tribe. If you can't find it, like I said, go create it.
And having that laser focus, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because you can easily get so spread thin, not just with retreats, but with business, with lifestyle, with everything, raise your hand. We've all been there, right? That was something that I really struggled with. I was leading, a real estate development. I was running a real estate portfolio. I was growing my personal brand. I was writing my book. I was trying to structure everything all at the same time, while also being a father to a 2.5-year-old and a toddler and a baby.
Newly married and
a husband to a beautiful bride. You can't do it all. So of course, delegation's big in that. You have to be able to delegate properly, but until you actually have the competency to actually delegate effectively, it really just is you trying to direct your own self. But I mean, it's so important to get laser focused. So at the end, I just sold off the land. I sold off some projects. I exited a few properties. I exited a few projects. And then I just laser focused on one or two businesses. I laser focused on the personal brand, and that's how you can grow, and that's how you can scale, and that's the only way to do so. And there's no other way to get it done. So while you're building a retreat, while you're building an opportunity like this, you have to be able to really focus on the ideal avatar, really focus on the true message, really focus on the deliverables, and that's how you'll go forward instead of going towards every different direction that you're proposed. Because as an entrepreneur, you know this, Holly, as an entrepreneur, you have an infinite amount of possibilities, right? There's an opportunity everywhere. And the thing about it is that everyone everywhere is paid to sell you on their way. And so you need to be able to really focus on the true wealth that you can create, which would mean the true resonance of your message to your client base with these retreats.
Yeah, I love that. So true. Okay. I know my podcasts aren't that long, so here we are at the end, but I have a few rapid fire questions. You ready?
Let's go.
All right. Morning routine or night owl?
Morning.
Where does your best thinking happen?
Where does my best thinking? Where does my best thinking happen?
In the shower, walking?
I would say in the car.
Okay. First thing you do if you woke up tomorrow with zero money, but all your knowledge.
Drop to my knees and pray.
One word that defines true wealth to you.
Legacy.
Rich in time or rich in money?
Rich in time.
Okay. Favorite way to invest in yourself?
Listening to podcasts.
Love it. I know. And they're free, people. Like, here we are doing this for you. So we hope you get all this knowledge and take it in and grab at least one or two ideas from each show. I hope they're valuable to you. I'd love to hear feedback. So anybody that wants to come and give us some feedback, definitely looking for some reviews. I have been very poorly asking for them. Now I am. So no shame in that. Nathan, this was great. I'm going to put all your information to get a hold of you, to talk to you about everything in the show notes. And so you can go grab his book and check it out. And I just wish you all the best. I'm so excited to see where your group's leading. And you and I will connect again, and maybe we'll do another show at another time after some time's gone and we have lots more wisdom to talk about.
Yeah, I'm sure we will do many more shows. Everyone can find me at nathanbarkocy.com, and my book is there. The community is there. So nathanbarkocy.com is the place to go. And Holly, I'm sure we'll be doing many more of these.
Hey, if you didn't get that written down, I'll have it in the show notes for everybody to click. So there you go. Okay, everyone, we'll see you next time on the show. Bye for now. Thanks for joining us on this episode of All Things Retreat. We hope you're leaving with new ideas, fresh inspiration, and the motivation to take your retreats to the next level. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It helps us grow and reach more retreat leaders like you. And if you have any questions, topics you'd like us to cover, or just want to say hello, send us an email at info@weretreatrnr.com. Follow us on social media to stay connected and catch all the latest updates. Until next time, remember, great retreats start with great intentions. Let's make them extraordinary, one step at a time. Thinking about hosting a retreat? Before you dive in, let's make sure you're really ready. Grab your free Are You Retreat Ready checklist and find out if you've got everything in place, from your purpose and pricing to your audience and agenda. Don't guess. Get clear. This quick checklist will show you exactly where you stand and what you need to make your retreat a success. Click the link below in the show notes to grab your gift and take the first step toward hosting with confidence.